So welcome to another video, another day and another boat. We are on board Broad Ambition, but we're not on board for necessarily pleasure. We're out today, it's Tuesday the 28th of July, and Sheila is at the helm, and we're actually out to trial her water integrity. We've got a couple of soft areas at the stern of the boat that have caused some issues with water ingress. We've done some temporary repairs to those, but we're embarking on a long trip coming up in the early part of August, all the way down from Stalham. We'll be going across Braden Water to Alton Broad to the yacht station, then from there to Beccles, and we're doing all of that for a little get together. And obviously on a long trip you want to kind of know that when you're running along, the seams aren't going to open up, those temporary repairs are going to hold. So that's exactly what we're doing today, and I can verify, having checked a couple of times so far, they are holding up just well, and we haven't got a load of water coming in. But if we did, I'd rather it happen on the relative peace and tranquility and shallowness of the River Ran than halfway across Braden Water. So I thought I'd just do this video though, because also what's interesting to see is, talking of shallow rivers, how high the river levels are at the present time. I can probably just show you there, just through there. They're almost overtopping some of the wild moorings. And I think the reason for this is we've had a period of very high winds, and what tends to happen is tide locking. So depending on the strength of the wind and the direction, it will kind of hold up the tide from going out, but aid the next high tide 5 and something hours later coming in. So you have like a tide on top of a tide. It takes a lot longer to make itself obvious up on the northern reaches of the Broads. Here we are just coming up to Barton Broad on the River Ran. But once it's occurred, it will also take longer to get back to normal. Whereas on the southern rivers, such as the Yare, it will make itself much quicker known, possibly flooding, you know, the quay at Reedham, etc. Very high tide, a couple of tidal windows will pass, and then it will suddenly disappear and it will go back to normal much faster, because obviously we're closer to Great Yarmouth, the rivers are wider and deeper. So yes, it's lovely to be on Broad Ambition. Obviously this whole year, the coronavirus, everything else, I mean, we're planned a maintenance weekend, well, not a weekend actually, a week, to do all sorts of stuff on Broad Ambition, and then lockdown happened, so we couldn't do it. However, we managed to come down and persevere with some things, so we had to re-site our warm air heater, which used to be over here under the side deck, and was quite happy with the Makuni 3.5 kilowatt unit, but the Makuni decided to give its last puff, and Makuni are no longer in business and making those heaters, so we didn't think it was necessarily a good idea to try and get spare parts for our existing heater, and we didn't want to pay, you know, a lot of money for a Basto or an Eberspacher, so we could have gone for the super cheap Chinese, around about 120 quid on Amazon, eBay, etc., with no backup, no support, no warranties, or we could go for a planar heater made in Russia, and this came with a warranty, with a UK distribution, and they have been super helpful. We had an initial issue, phoned them up, and they've talked us through things. They've supplied replacement parts, and we've now re-sited our heater here with our inlet down here. Just bear with me while I show you what's going on down here. Okay, so you won't find this on any other boat. This is our doorway, as you can see here, and our new inlet for the heater. So we have a intake grill which has got a mesh on, just to stop the worst of the you know, hairs and so on and so forth being sucked into the heater. But when we unlock the door, and we can obviously still close the door, then behind here is a standard 90mm inlet for the heater as well. And on the reverse of the door, if I just move the camera around, you can see that while that doesn't look the neatest currently, we'll probably dress that up a little, put some varnish on it, but it was a bit of a rush job before. But that means that that first grill fits perfectly over that grill. We can lock the door, which is where it's going to be 99.9% of the time. These doors are never ever shut, but it means that we have our new intake in as neat a way as we could, despite having the door. Because if we hadn't have cut this in the door, despite this little air gap under here, it would have obstructed our air intake too much. Let's just make sure that's locked properly. So yeah, that took a lot of time, because we had to get new fuel hose, rerun the fuel lines, do the ducting, etc, etc. Here we are on Barton Broad. See, they've probably just heard from the engine note we've increased our RPMs. The other thing that's happened on board is a bit of a modification in our shower area. So this is all obviously tiled by Charlie. He's a professional tiler, so all in a day's work for him. Haven't got the original tiles, so what we had to do was, this was all mosaic originally, so this was always here, but here was blue mosaics. So what we've done is we've tried to find a reasonable blend between the two, and we've got a nice piece of trim here, as you can see, and we've retained our existing fittings and everything. And what we're going to do here is, this is an inspection plate to get to the shower drain pump, and obviously unbolt this, and that's the switch for the shower drain pump. So we're probably going to go for a nice polished stainless steel cover for this, just to make it sort of blend in a little bit better. And then we've got these new porcelain non-slip tiles, and I used to have a little seat here that's gone, so we've got more space. And very well done, because obviously this is where the hole starts to curve up, so you can't bend tiles, unfortunately. But what we've done here, as you can see, is a much neater line than was previously, as the whole side goes up, and we've got a much better flush mount, so all the water will come down to the drain. So overall, we've got more space. This is now non-slip, and we've also got a nice piece of trim here, and it's all been tanked out, and now we will have a watertight shower area, and just a little bit of a refresh there. Hardest part of this, several hours of hacking off the tiles and various special, especially for the floor pan here, non-hard setting adhesives, so they always just remain just slightly rubbery to allow a little bit of movement, because boats move. So that's one of the main reasons when people tile boats they go wrong, and why tiles crack and fall off, is because of the type of adhesive. You're not tiling a house or a boat. The next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to go with our poly-antique flooring all throughout here. This is just vinyl floor covering, cushioned vinyl floor covering. It's been there for years, and it does a really great job. Unfortunately, all of these big panels are very heavy. They all have this aluminium trim, and in the summer when you've got the canopy off, these get absolutely scorchio on your bare feet. So what we originally were going to do was redo all of the flooring and then have some Antico put down. But now what we're going to do is we're going to have 12mm load bearing laminated Holly Antique, and we're not going to have any of these edging strips, and we're going to have it so that they come up easier in order to get to the various parts of the engine bay. So that's going to be a bit of a bigger job. And then we're going to have all of this reupholstered, and then we breathe. So there's always something to be done on board a boat. So that's just a little update talking about Broad Ambition. I'm just going to go and check back down by the rudder stock just to double check, water integrity, as I said. So this isn't going to be a long video, but I just wanted to update you on, you haven't seen the old girl for a good while, but yeah, she's in good order. We also put all new Velcro on here because this was getting quite tired. That was a job. Everything's a job in itself. You know, you start to take old Velcro off and then it starts taking the varnish off. Sheila's looking at me as much to say, what's going on?
Where are we going?
Well, you're just going to carry on cruising along.
Oh no, sailing boat, don't come to me. Stay where you are. Where's the entrance of the boat, Robert?
So, down there
Yeah.
is the River Am,
Yeah.
and up
Going
there,
that way?
well, go wherever way you want. You could go up there, you could turn around, go back, you could head down there. You're in control.
I'm going to River Run. Is that I need to April?
Right, yeah, then we'll be around there.
April Bridge Inn.
She wants to go to the Acle Bridge Inn. We're also going to do some work in here with the underlying ply. I'm just going to look under here. Oh, sorry about that. So this is our rudder stock. Got an auto greaser on there as well, which is nice to have. Very hard to find these. And as you can see, there is some water just down there, and this rib's rotten. And these are some of our temporary repairs. I don't know if you can just see there, just to keep things from moving. But there is a little bit of a chop, as you can see on the Broad. So there is some more pressure being put on the frame of the boat. But look, there's no more water than normal. So I would say that's a good thing. I'm going to stop filming, and on our return trip I'll give it some sort of full left and right rudder and just put a little bit more strain just to double check on things. This, by the way, is the Deck King synthetic teak, and this is all new that we've had the solid stainless steel polished edging, which we've also had done here. But it's a wooden boat and it's just ongoing, you know. You've got to sand, you've got to revarnish. We did this that was bad, and then we're going to have to do this. We did this before, so it's what it's like with a wooden boat. It's a constant battle between using them, enjoying them, and preserving them. And you've just got to kind of keep at it. A GRP plastic boat, you know, at least the structure of the boat isn't going to rot away. It might get green and disgusting, but a jet wash will bring that up. But that's wooden boat life. But on a day like today, it is absolutely beautiful. And yes, we haven't got our ensign or anything up. We're flagless. I'm sure that there'll be a certain Yorkshireman who will not be very happy, but this isn't, as I say, just a pleasure trip. This is a trial, and I just brought you along for the ride. So I keep saying I'm going to go. I am going to go. Thank you very much for watching. And as ever, in the future, we will be back.